it's not.
Can you zoom in?
You can zoom in a bit.
Yes, but
If you can
the
come
overview is
closer,
kind
that'd be great.
I have to just zoom in and out, in and out, in and out. That would be really annoying. So, I'll have to zoom in a little bit because I can't even see. It's not developed by me. I can do right here. If it just kind of let's try here. Because we have kind of we have a lot of subgroups. That's how we run the Danish kind of group. So if someone has an idea to do anything, they just come and say, we'd like to do this. And then the board says, do it. That's basically how it works. And then they just run off with it. Try to make it work. And if they need help, they come and ask Sophie and I, or the board, or whoever needs input. So I've been kind of consulted on this, but I didn't do it myself. And it's made for a gallery show, actually, in the first place. So it's called the Money Manual, which is Danish for Money Manual. And it's kind of done to show the kids what is money and what can money be. It's so much more than just national currency. So what are the different kind of perspectives you can have on money, and what are the characteristics of different kinds of money. And they can try to make their own money. That's actually what they should do, make their own money. And have kind of discussions about all those characteristics. Should it be anonymous, or should it be supervised or whatever by government or by banks, or who should be allowed to create it, how are they put into circulation, how do you pay with it, what do they look like, that kind of options. So the thing is, this is kind of an overview, or you could put it into Excel or stuff like that. It's just like, here's the characteristic, and down there you can put different kinds of money. So, to go pretty easy, the first one is, what's the name of the money? Danish crown, this is a local currency in Denmark, and here are bitcoins. And then they can write whatever, let's call it Utrecht Geld, or whatever they want to. Geld, sorry. And like, what kind of a community is this money being used? Is it in Denmark? Is it a B2B network, B2C network? Is it geographically? Is it businesses only, or is it international transaction? Who do want to use this money? That also changes the characteristics of the money. And then, who do we want to create the money? And there's actually more options that you might think about. But in the first place, private banks, of course, as we know it, or government, central bank, economists, or this consumers. They could also be. So the thing is, try to show you. Oh, how do I do this? I forgot. That is something else. So that is not good. So this one I have got. Probably just need to go down. Now I can't see where I am. It's because I'm on the wrong side. I'm sorry about being slow. So at the it's not even this one, but you can use this one though. At the gallery, the kids were then walking around, well, here's a stand on who creates the money, and they can read through different options, and then there's a stamp. So they have their paper with the money they're about to create, and they put in a stamp of government certified, or digital currency, Bitcoin certified, whatever. And then they go to the next stand, and the next stand might be who decides how much to create? Well, a council stamp. And then at the end, they have all these stamps, and they end up with their own kind of money. They can even draw it if they want to. And then, so this is kind of to interact kids. And there were even physical presentations of the different kind of money. But what we can do with this is then you can say, let's put in something to stop them, hindering, let's say, it must be digital. Kids, you have to make some money, it must be digital. And then some of their options are taken away from them. And then they have to think about, well, if it's not digital, what can it do as physical money? How would that work? And you can even like remove stuff like you commonly would find intuitive. Like you must have a chip in your finger. You could say that to people, and then they would go like, how about security? Would a thief come and chop off the finger? Or how would you know how much money you got in your account? Or that kind of issues. And even the kind of anonymous, not anonymous, and all these kind of security stuff that we usually don't talk too much about in the monetary reform, but actually for normal kids this is quite important. How can you steal the money, or how can you lose the money? If you don't know your password, is the money gone? Or all these kind of...
Yeah, that's a good question. So how old are the kids you're talking about?
This could be adults. So I'm not saying now just throwing you right into our newest things, but we have plenty of time to talk about how we usually do it. But we have very little to do with secondary school, but we have some, and the rest is high school or higher level.
No primary?
No, we don't have anything for primary. And mainly it's because we don't have any money to do this, so we want to make stuff that we can sell. So it's not like primary schools don't need it, they do, but we haven't got any options of getting it financed as it is now. So that is just kind of our latest thing we've done. And I'll show you one more thing, which was the other one that actually came up. So it is...
May
Yeah,
I ask
sure.
a question? Yeah.
Throw in
In a
questions.
practical way, do you present this as a plate or a...
Yes, they get a big kind of, with all of this on, and we even do the symbols. You saw some of the symbols, and they can put together like a puzzle kind of thing. Well, we pick the central bank and we put that in the first place, and then we pick a local area and put that in, and then we pick a physical cat and put that in. So they have like a pile of things that together is the new currency. And there's also, like, I didn't bring that one, like at the end, a kind of a slide where they can choose to draw on a note, or on a tablet, or on a credit card. So they kind of fill in, this is my kind of money, and it's a credit card, or it's a finger, or whatever they kind of feel. So there's also like the design element, which kids find, or young people find pretty cool, trying to, how should it look like? And does that affect how we use it as well? That's also a big kind of talk. Does it make a difference whether we pay by cash or digital? Mentally, like the like more like down-to-earth kind of feeling of the money. Does that change how we perceive it? All this kind of personal stuff. Try to bring that into the area because kids can relate to that. And in Denmark, actually, at 12 years old, they can get debit cards. So they actually know. You can ask them, do you ever take out money in an ATM, we ask them. And lots of them say no, because it's costly, because they pay 50 cents. So they don't take out cash, they go beep everywhere in Denmark and pay their card. So they already understand this kind of small things, even down to the age of 12, 13. So, this one is actually the one from last year, but I can see that not that many of you were here last time. So you probably haven't even seen it. This is also a physical thing. It's called the learning board.
The arrow.
This one, right? It could get even bigger. How many saw this last year? I had like just 2 of you, so it might be really interesting. It's called the learning board, and it's not a game, which is really important to stress to begin with. It's just to teach people stuff. And it's actually a full circle. So this is a quarter of the board, and it has 2 versions. This is a simple version where you have a quarter of the board, or the full version with 4 kind of triangles. So it's kind of like this triangle is the bank, and it's kind of a puzzle piece as well. You can see this is, so you can move stuff around if you want to. So these are customers in the bank, and up here is the central bank. And then you can put in another bank customers if you want to, and another bank customers here. And what this does, it can show kids physically what happens when you transfer money. And one of the really basic thing is, well, if I transfer money from one customer in the same bank to another customer, the cost to the bank is 0. The effort is 0, really easy. And then you have a problem when you introduce the second bank. What happens then? And then you introduce the whole clearing system and how the money is going through the central bank and down to the other bank. And you can even, down here is actually accounts of the other banks. So you can even put in, well, this bank is called the Danish Bank, and maybe there is a Spar Bank over here. And then you can even show that when banks they deal with one another, they can just credit each other's account. So they don't even need the central bank. You can put in that kind of thing. On top of this board, we have a lot of pieces. And they are, of course, cash as we're used to, but also we did digital cash that we made physical. Not digital cash as in bank money. Bank money that we made physical to make sure that they are in your account. So these people are actually split in two. This is what they got inside the bank, because the bank edge is here. So that would be their accounts, debt and positive. I don't know. That's called deposits, of course. And out here is what's outside the bank. So that's their assets and their cash money. So you can show, like, what if a person over here buys a property of this person? What happens then? Well, the bank creates some debt and the transfers are made. And if you put in a story, we made a lot of storylines. You put in a story that says, well, this people buy this from here and there and the prices. And what the kids can see is, well, as the story goes on, the amounts of money on the board increases. How did that happen? Mm-hmm. And you also see the debt, of course, is also going to increase. As the prices of properties rise, you can show kind of that.
Is that outside money, is that just liquid assets like cash or?
Yeah, it's shares and stuff over here and cash. It's just things that are not situated in the bank.
Right. Could it be property too? A house?
Yeah, the assets could also be a house. It is a house. We have little houses and little bikes and little computers and that you move around as assets.
Got it.
And shares as well, so you can choose what you want to. And then of course you can rise or lower the difficulty by showing just one bank. That's really kind of easy, moving around stuff. Introduce more banks, it's more difficult. Longer stories with multiple kind of transaction makes it more difficult. So you can make it, I wouldn't call just this one is fairly hard. It's certainly high school stuff. But then of course you can manipulate the stories and so you find how long does it need to take, what is useful. That's one thing. But the really good thing, and that's for the high-end students, is if they ask a question. How does this work? Come over here. Here's the learning board. How does it work when I want to make a transaction to my grandmother in Australia? Have a look. You do this, and then the bank does this, and so on. So we find it even in our little local groups, having a meeting. Well, come learn about money creation. We've got this learning board. People are coming and we do these little stories and they talk and say, wow, is that how it works? And how's the clearing system? What's the job of the central bank? What's the relation to central bank money, to cash, to bank currency? Yeah, look.
What is 1 unit of this learning tool cost to acquire?
Well, there is only a prototype so far. And as you can hear now, it needs someone to instruct the kids, or else it's not working at all.
So I need a teacher manual as well.
You need a teacher manual, and you need a board that goes with a teacher or some kind of.
So when can we expect a shippable?
Yeah, well, it's pretty easy because it's all made by a visual designer, so we can send you the drawings. This has just been cut in wood,
Yeah.
so pretty simple. And also the pieces, we can also send you this design, and you can go to a whatever, it could be a 3D printer.
And the instructions too?
Instructions don't exist right now, but I
This is
can make it for you or whatever you might be interested in. And I'll probably make a group on the Hub about education, so you can tap into that and ask what you need. And we'll try as fast as we can. But it needs to be, it's kind of like, I said some of this stuff already last year, so you need to know, well, I'm doing this in a month, help me out, because I might be interested in this. Then it's, if I send stuff, and it's like, well, I've spent 10 hours making this available to someone, and it's not being used. So it needs to be like demand driven. You need to tell me, we need this because we are doing this that day. Manuel.
I really like it, and I think it has potential to be the next product of the gaming
Yeah.
That's very useful in our
division, so to say. Yes.
It is really I mean, yes. Yes,
As
the
an
secret.
educational purpose, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Mhm.
really nice.
I think I'm about finished, so let's just take more questions now. So this one is.
So you can do like the Cards Against Humanity. You know, they sell their own stuff, but it's also open source. So you have like templates online, and you can fill your own ideas. So maybe you can do something like that so people can, so you can just make a pattern, and if someone from Norway, I don't know, or China wants to make their thing, so they can just make their thing and ship it.
This is open source, so you can get it from me and you can just go as the issue is, of course, it's going to cost you something to make this because you're probably going to need only 1 or 2 yourselves. And I think we paid, and depends on what quality you like, about 100 euros to get this cut and get the pieces stacked together. But then you can use it unlimited, and you probably don't only going to need 1 or 2.
And you did it with wood, out of
The
wood?
board is wood, yeah.
Because cardboard, thick cardboard would actually...
That could also work. That could also work. The thing is, it's kind of it's a puzzle, so you like to reassemble it again and again, so it needs to be kind of sturdy. It also has kind of a weird shape, so it doesn't fit like in a normal kind of box. And you want it to, usually I stand at the end of the table, and then there are like 6 people on each side,
So it must be
so it needs really big for people to see. I guess it's this size for now, and sometimes bigger might even be better.
I assume you had some tryouts?
A lot,
A
yeah.
lot. And what kind of people and what were the lessons learned from the tryouts?
The lesson learned is to make it as simple as you can.
Yeah.
But it's always, for me it's always hard because I'm also a scholar of money creation and I'm really into this subject. So I always try to teach them more than is actually possible. So keep 2 or 3 specific points that you want to show them. And then probably leave the rest and wait for questions. So don't let this lesson take too long. And it works really well if you have kind of a workshop, all-day workshop, so you can go to it and then you can leave it again. And then you have a presentation on something also about money creation, and then the questions are there, and let's go back and have a look at how does it look on the board. It works really well, but you need to have someone pretty interested and you need more time to do that kind of stuff. And I find it the best on the older kind of educational system. 17, 18, 19 years, that's where it works the best. And of course, smaller groups of people.
That's what.
So you know,
Max.
15 I'd say is the maximum amount I would try this out. But of course if you have 2, but then you
Yeah.
maybe need 2 people because it needs like pretty close attention.
Yeah. Thank you.
So Jonas, can you say a little bit more about what you do, like how you use it? Do you give them tasks that they have to?
Yeah, that's good. Usually the story is kind of like what's going to happen, and then I give them like you are a bank, so everything that has to do with you need to interact with the others, and you might be a customer, and then the customer says, I want to make this transfer, and then the bank says, oh well, I'll deduct your account, and then I'll talk to the central bank, who's another person, and they will talk to another bank, and so kind of give them, let's call it, they will be into the game a lot more, right? So in that sense, fewer people is better, but that needs to be even better organized to know what's the story I'm going to make and what will be the interesting places to put in people. But it works very well if it's well prepared. And I have some stories, so you of course can get, and you can create unlimited.
Yeah, so when you educate adults, you don't use this, right?
I will use this for adults.
Oh,
Certainly,
you will.
they don't understand a thing.
Okay.
This is for adults as well.
Yeah, because I was thinking if you use presentations for adults, maybe you can make like a mix. Do you introduce them to this first and then make a presentation that's like a debrief for them? What have you seen?
Yes, I always do that.
Yeah.
There's always a debriefing after
Yeah.
this one. What did you learn? What happened? What was surprising? Do you feel someone was missing, or was this new to you? What do you feel now knowing this? There's always these kind of. I've always tried to do that. But then again, it's usually this doesn't stand alone. So when I go and teach and I use this, it's very rarely that I have only a workshop, because it's made for a self-sustainable economy for Gode Penge Denmark, so they need to pay. and very few schools are willing to pay me to come to their school and teach 12 people for an hour with this and go back home. They're not willing to pay for that. So what they do is say, well, come and do presentations for the whole school, 1, 2, 3, 4, 500, 1,000 people, and then there's usually a teacher that's promoted this or asked me to come, and then I go on and have some workshops with his class. And this could be one. So this is a kind of a part of a bigger package, but it sells really well. So when we have on our homepage our little menu, well, you can do the money manual, or you can do the learning board, or you can do the Monopoly hack game, or you can do a little auction. We have like different kind of. And then if I, oh, there's a lot of nice stuff, and I'm really interested in this, and then the teachers feel like, well, I'm part of this, I pick this really cool stuff out for my pupils, and I'm ready to go to my principal and say, I really want this is important for my kids, I'm teaching them this, and they need to get even more focused, and then the principal might say yes. I'll just stay here first, yeah?
It doesn't seem like it costs the students anything to create the money. So the cost of money is near zero.
Mm-hmm.
I'm wondering about how you might be able to teach them the concept of seniorage.
Mm-hmm.
You know, who gets to spend the money first?
Yeah. In this, the concept is kind of like talking about, well, you just now got some money from the bank, and how much interest do you get on your account? And most kids will say, well, 0. They've never heard of interest in a deposit account. And how much money do you pay for your loan? 5% interest, okay? And what did the bank actually do to get that? So the bank created the money for you, and they are getting the seniorage as an interest.
Right. So again, that becomes part of the story that you created
It
the
does.
appropriate
It
time
does.
when
It
they're
does.
ready for it.
It's not, yeah.
And it
it's-
comes up organically.
Yeah, and I also kind of work with that kind of subject in my presentation. So they have heard it either before or afterwards, usually before I told them just basics, and then
Seniorage is a really interesting concept. It can be very simple and technical, or it can be more and more elaborate.
exactly. And that I find it quite difficult.
Yeah,
They need to be
do this.
fairly skilled to really get it, so I'm trying to make, instead of trying to show them the whole kind of plate of what it is, I'm just trying to make little examples of it. Like this one, the bank is earning a lot of money. I always kind of have this, when I do my presentation, the bank is kind of like when you want to borrow a bike from your friend. You go to your bike, Sigurvin, can I borrow your bike? And Sigurvin said, yes, have my bike. Now Sigurvin doesn't have the bike, and I have the bike. So let's say I'm a bank. I've got a bike. Jonas, you want to borrow the bike? Yes, Jonas, here you go. Thanks, the bike. Poof, another bike comes out. And the bank borrows it to Lars. Poof, another bike. Like, you can keep on going, lending the same for new
I
stuff.
really like that. Poof.
Yeah.
It works out well.
So doing this little example that really works for the kids, really, really well, really well.
Yeah, poof.
The proof thing, really.
Just go, I don't want to leave it.
What kind of obstacles do you experience within your school, with your colleagues, etc.?
Well, I'm not in a school, so I'm not a teacher. I'm just working for Booping. So the teacher or the principal comes and asks me, come and do this. And I'll say yes or no, or I'll say I have to get more money, or how about this stuff. So the good thing is, once I get there, they're like, wow, thank you for coming, or giving me wine and stuff. So it's more like, once I get there, they're usually pretty happy, so everything is...
And is it contagious that they promote it on other school?
Yes, somewhat it is.
Okay.
Or more likely they do it the year after again. I've done this for 2 years, more now than earlier, but it kind of grows. So the same school wants more. Now they have just a presentation, next year they want some workshops. I even have one specific school that wants me to come more than one day, so I stay there and sleep and work again the day after. So there are options.
Do Danish commercial banks or the Danish central bank have you on their radar where they need to be concerned a little bit? Or are you flying under the radar?
They are pretty concerned. But I don't think they're too concerned about me teaching. They're more concerned about Boopenge and the academic work we're doing and the mobilizing and organizing. The education part, not really too bothered about that.
Okay.
So, but you're combining this with the political aspects of it then,
Well,
too?
I'm not, but the organization is. So I do some research, it is mixed. And I also, a lot of the teachers are, well, be in mind to the pupils. This guy is from an organization called Gode Penge, and this is their view. And I'm very fine with that. Of course it is my view. And I'm not trying to hide
You're
that.
not hiding.
So I'm trying to do like 80% of this is how the money system works, and I'm trying to be objective, or at least showing this is what's empirically happening. Yeah. And then the last 20% is we have other ideas. We could try this, and our purpose, our goal is this. And then they can discuss that and ask questions.
If I could leave a comment. So in Denmark, the Bankers Association has every year 1 week they call the Money Week, and they go to a lot of schools, and they have materials that they give to the teachers so everybody can use it. And Jonas goes to, I don't know how many schools,
Yeah,
30 a year, one
Maybe
time.
60 maybe, something.
but, yeah, right, so it's very little, you're saying.
Yeah.
It's the same in the US.
It's the
May,
same
the
as
first
us.
week in May is Money Week, and it's all about personal finance, or maybe at best start a business, and
So
nothing about how
So
the system
challenge,
works.
the challenge is making something that is communal or a common problem,
How do you-
make that kind of personal, make it have an impact on the specific student.
So your organization is in the map, not in a negative way, but you're there and the school can pick you as a choice on that Money Week.
No,
No.
that's for banks.
That's for the
And
banks.
we're not in the curriculum. We're not in the curriculum. So the school needs to have the freedom to say, we have an extra day, or the teacher needs to have the freedom to say, this is interesting, let's put it in.
We can do that in the United States. We can certainly easily do that. The teacher has a lot of flexibility there. How to get it to the teacher is a problem because the publishers control everything. And the whole the publishers control everything. I'll just say it like that.
Let's keep it. I have more general things about trying to sell like education stuff. I'll come to that very soon. So if it's about kind of the actual products, then I'll take the questions. Yeah.
I just thought it might be interesting to have it compared to the sovereign money system. So if it's on wood, flip it and have the sovereign money system, which looks so much easier.
That's a
and
good
like
idea. Yeah.
Authentic.
Plus just like one big line of accounts.
Yeah.
And then just
So
move the money around
this
with
system,
accounts.
it's really complicated.
Yeah,
and
that's-
then it's automatically simple.
Good idea. Good idea. Very good.
Which teachers actually ask you to present that? Is it based to a subject or?
Yeah. I'm trying to move on to how to get into schools, which is kind of that question as well.
Yes.
Because we're not actually in the curriculum, we're trying to find subjects where we might actually find some teachers that would bring this in. And in Denmark, the usual subject that we can actually get in is social sciences. So that's A-level social sciences. They usually have they have it in 2 years, the subject, and they usually have 4 blocks, and one is economy. So we try to get into that block. And what they usually do is they have like a specific subject that is on the edge of the curriculum, or where they go deep into this kind of thing. And if the teacher chooses this one, that could be one of the 8 subjects, 2 of them in economy. So, and then usually you have kind of 8 weeks of working with some kind of subjects, which could be the central bank, or the money system, or whatever. And then they call us in and say, can you fill something out, come with a presentation or something. That's what we try to do, but we can't do anything but try to talk to as many people as possible.
And is it then a topic that is completely, off or out of the curriculum that also is not part of the exams, or are the exams of the teachers, can they actually include stuff like this?
My brother teaches A-level social sciences, so he is kind of like, the problem is you can actually bring it in as a teacher, but there'll be someone else giving the grades. Or like there are 2 teachers, one's coming from another school, helping giving the grades in Denmark. So you have the teacher who's taught this and knows about it, and then there's another teacher helping giving the grades, and they might not know a thing about it.
For every exam, there's another teacher from another school, that's correct.
If it's a workable final exam, yes, there's one from another school. So that's the Danish system, which makes it more difficult, because if it was only the teacher himself or herself, then they could.
But of course, the teacher does need to have the freedom to do so.
Yeah, and if the kids are really good at putting this into a broader scope, then they can get a very high grade, so it's not like going really wrong. But if you are, on the other hand, just don't have a clue and they pick a subject at the exams, that's usually those 8 things the teacher put out, those are the 8 subjects. So they might pick money creation, and then they are screwed if they don't really get it, right? So the teachers are a little bit, yeah. So some of them might call me and not use it as one of the 8 subjects, but just find it interesting and I'll come.
As an extra topic.
Yeah, that's more common, just like icing on the cake. Usually quite close to the final exams. So my busiest time is actually now, April, May, because it's usually end year and the students got, well, now they got most of it. Let's put some icing on the cake, get it really interesting, get someone from the outside.
I'm writing that down as the Danish final exams game.
Yeah, so finding a subject where you can actually feed in this kind of thing, that's a good thing. And then, of course, on your homepage, I should show you that. I'm not going to do that. We have on the top this a banner called Education. You press that, and there's a very nice intro to what we can do. And there's a little menu, what do you want, prices, and the teachers. That's kind of usually where they actually see what we're doing. Of course, they need to find us interesting first and get to the homepage, but once they're there. And then, of course, there's the whole getting community going. Like to begin with, I knew about 2 teachers. And so I contacted them and tried to get going, and of course for free, trying to test this stuff out, and getting that for free should be fairly easy. And once you get more teachers, and they say to them, well, do you know someone who might find this interesting? Who should I contact? And maybe even who's a little higher up? Who knows what's going on a little bit of a broader scope? Do you have a community for the teachers of social sciences A-level? Can I write something on that, Facebook or whatever?
So you also do the marketing?
I do everything, yes. And the marketing can be hard work, and we try to we've got lists of every school in the country and writing like principals or maybe some teachers, and it doesn't work. Okay. So you need to find someone and go and show them what it is, talk to them, make them talk to others, do it for free to begin with, and then grow your kind of community, your teaching community. Yes.
I think it's time.
One
more question. Danish schools have a budget to have these plus?
Yes, the school has it, so not the subjects, which is why all the teachers have to get through the principal of the school. So, and that is also why the principal usually says, well, the whole school needs a presentation, and then, well, they pay us anyway, I'll go and teach A-level social sciences. That's how it's commonly worked in the high schools.
So what you are doing is not paid by Golden but the school are paying to you.
That's the purpose here. Right now my salary is bigger in Gulpenge than what I can get in, so the Gulpenge is taking a bit of a loss at the moment. But the plan is that it should cover my full salary here in the long run. And right now it's about half of my salary, maybe a little bit more.
Let's take this around the planet, I think. I think we are going to stop in 15 minutes past, right?
Yeah, can
so I think quick suggestion. Please, let's continue the conversation about this. I was going to give Jamie a brief time, but you have plenty of time with Jonas for the rest of the day. Yeah.
We have three more minutes.
I like that you're interested.
I like to take on home.
Good question. Rachel.
So could you just say that at the moment roughly half of your funding comes from
my salary?
Yeah.
Funding from my salary.
Yes, comes from the schools.
And also companies. Whoever wants a workshop or a presentation on this.
You could charge them way more, right?
Yeah. So the banks, they get the big kind of.
Do you go to banks also?
Yes, I do.
Really?
Yeah. They usually want presentations only, and it's like small, sustainable kind of banks. So, but they still pay more than the schools. Are willing to pay more. Yeah.
What about political parties?
I go there. Usually, I go to the youth kind of parties, and they have very little money. So I'm trying to make as much as I can, and sometimes it gets too much with traveling can be a hassle. But I do that one. And the mother parties, they do tend to pay, but usually they're not too interested in the educational part, but more like the research or the lobbyism or the impact on a higher level. So it's not me. It's just
Okay.
someone else from Booking to Erasmus,
Okay.
usually.
And just on the funding, where did the initial funding for this project come from?
There is none.
Okay, so it's more like you've made the decision,
I'm gonna do this.
this is
and then
what
I
we're
did
going to
it.
do.
Yeah, voluntarily.
Okay.
And of course we have a lot of designers and some game people, and I didn't do this on my own, but I'm the project manager and I had the ideas, and then I went to talk to people. I did none of the design, and it's been group work, all of it. So now I'm just like selling it and making a living off the others.
Yeah, and have you found that through doing it you've gained supporters for the organisation?
Yes, certainly.
Okay.
And I find that our supporters really wants me to do this more.
And
They're all kind of into, let's the kids learn how this works.
Can you train others?
Sorry?
Can you train other?
Train the trainers.
Yeah, sure I can, of course. It's not that difficult. And I'm trying to prepare more of that kind of stuff. And right now, the kids' book is the next I'm writing, like with pictures and stuff, the magic money tree, and money is flooding the whole village kind of thing. We're doing for little kids, like 8-year-olds.
How long is the presentation? How many?
The presentation, it depends on the school's time, so I'll mix it so it works. Usually 75 minutes is it's kind of standard for the schools.
Okay.
Then there's time for questions. But it can be, usually I say less than 1 hour, I'm not going to get around the subject. So I'm saying, don't do it. If you have that little time, I'm not going to come. And if they're not willing to give me that, then I'm not.
Not worth it.
It's not going to work.
So 75 minutes is including Q&A?
That's presentation, yeah, usually, sometimes a little over time, but yeah, 75, 90 minutes, including Q&A. And what I did to begin with is basically have a look at the Positive Money's homepage. They have a guy called Ben Dyson, he's done some pretty nice presentations, and I just called Positive Money saying, can we have this presentation as a PowerPoint, and they just sent it to us, and then we just changed it so it looked really nice, and now it's evolved, of course, but there's still some of the elements that Ben Dyson introduced.
Do you have any videos
Yes, we have
of the presentation?
none of my presentations, but Ben Dyson's would suit you really well. Don't.
Nobody has to see the course in action.
But it would be in Danish.
That would be Danish.
Oh, so it has subtitles.
We have a YouTube channel, so you will find a lot of different presentations there.
Really?
I'm
Okay.
not sure I'm on any of those, but yeah, it is.
Interesting how you
It's
do
called Gode Penge. It's on YouTube, and we have Ibraun is pretty good, but it's in Danish, so I don't think you'll get too much out of that. I would recommend Ben Dyson instead, certainly. And you can. And the good thing about Ben Dyson is I know Positive Money are willing to send you some of his
There's
presentations.
quite a lot on the website, so don't feel you have to ask us.
Yeah, the thing is, but you would like to get the kind of
The real PowerPoint.
the real PowerPoint,
Oh, I see
so
what
that
you
you can,
mean.
yeah. So you can see it and say, wow, this is really nice. We have this on the webpage, and then I think I contacted Frank or someone 2, 3, 4 years ago. And they
Well,
just
it's in
said,
the IMMR folder right now. I think.
it might be in the IMMR folder.
Yeah,
Can I say,
most of the stuff is shared.
it would be good to have a thread on the Home Hub for education.
Yes,
Yes,
yes.
we're gonna make a space for that.
I
And I'm
also,
gonna probably be active in that. Yeah.
yeah, I also have a proposal. If we are done with your subject, I'm not sure. But I have a proposal because I think we should update our database of contacts in the IMMR with a small, explanation what everybody is doing. For example, you would be exactly that project, because maybe then we will not be confused. Okay, who was that again? Whatever. So we have in our database we have clear, tasks. What is everybody doing? Because now I remember you, of course, because of that thing.
Yeah.
That's a proposal, but I think it should be.
Which member base? What do you mean where?
So how will we do that?
All the members.
Hold on, an Excel sheet, for example. You see.
But like
Contact
people-
name, email address.
But which
and then-
context? People who attended the conference or
Everyone.
Everyone, whatever.
okay, but then it's might be hundreds of people.
No, I mean, those who are getting involved.
International things from the
You mean like next to your name?
Yeah, next to your name on your profile.
Specialized in-
Yes, exactly.
Or maybe even subjects or even specific products. Yeah.
I was just wondering, how aware are they that, the financial crisis happened, how big of an issue this is? Because I kind of feel like that sort of age group is kind of sheltered in terms of their parents are taking care of them, they're not out there in the world understanding what impact this has on the economy. Do they understand the enormity of this and how it is
They have no
different
clue.
to the
No,
other?
they have no clue.
Yeah.
But the teachers quite often know. So they are your entry, are the teachers.
Yeah, do they get it by the end to see like actually the system works like this and this is what happened and
Yeah.
this is what, you know,
Yeah,
adults don't always know what's going on and how
Well,
to work
I'm not
with it.
talking too much about the financial crisis, not too much, but
The
an
impact
easy
it has.
yes, and an easy thing is the house prices in Denmark are acting like madmen. So that's pretty